Okay, next we're going to look at chapter 13. From the textbook Control Structures. So we're going to look at if and else control structure. So if this, else, that kind of stuff. And then the for loop, which we just did in the previous chapter. And then we have while and repeat, which are again looping syntax, like for but different. Okay. And then there are some other functions that we can look at as next and skip and all that. Now, before we get into the actual looping and if, I want to go over the three functions which we use to create the iterator. Like in a for loop, you want to go through 1 to 10 or 1 to 50, or if you want some sequence of numbers that you want to iterate through. So these three functions are used for that purpose. So sec function, okay, you can, this is the syntax, okay, from some number to some number by skipping, and then length out is a kind of, we'll see an example of that. And then there are sec along and then sec len. So these are the three. Okay, let's look at examples of those. Okay, so let's first start with sec. So if you do like sec 5, so it's going to generate an iterator like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you give a one number, this is what will happen. Okay, or you can do sec, right, 10, 20, and 2. So from, to, and by. Okay. That's going to give you start with 10, end with 20, and it will be, increment will be 2. Now length out is, that is a spelling mistake here. Okay. So if you give the sec, okay, and again, so say 0, 1. Okay. Now instead of by, you give length why is it? Length out. All right, so here you see it creates 4 numbers equally spaced between 0 and 1. Okay, so let's say that you want 10 to 20, then it will do the same thing between starting with 10, starting with the first number, ending with the second number, and then creating equally spaced number of numbers specified in length out. Okay. So that is sequence or sec. So sec takes a vector, okay, and if the vector is length 1, then that number of numbers will be generated. So there is a key point here. Sec along is also takes a vector. Okay, there is a crucial difference between sec and sec along. So let's say that we set up a a vector, okay, so like that. Then if I did sec along x, so that's going to take the length of the vector, okay. Now x is a vector and the length of x is 3. So it will generate, starting from 1, 3 numbers, 1, 2, 3. That's what sec along will do. And sec also will do the same thing. If you give sec x, it will give you exactly the same thing. But the difference is, okay, here is the difference. Suppose if y is, okay, just one number, the vector is of length 1, then sec along y and sec y are different now. Okay. So sec along still looks at the length of the vector, the length being 1, that generates just one number. Whereas sec looks at the vector, says, okay, there is only one number, so I'm going to start with 1 and expand it until that number we have specified in the vector. So that's the difference. So sec is a special case of sec along. So sec along is usually better than sec because it doesn't give you some unexpected stuff. Sec len is simply, it takes in a number. Okay. If you give anything other than a number, it will give you an error. So it has to be a single number. So sec len z, okay, let's put z equal to say 5. Well, let's do z1 equal to 5 and z2 equal to vector having say 4 numbers. So if you sec len z1 will work, sec len z2 will not work because z2 is a vector more than one number there. Well, you didn't, I don't know. Sec len is supposed to be but still there is a problem. Okay, so this is, it looks at the unique numbers. I guess this must be new behavior, I don't know. Well, it is supposed to just give you an error, and it did give me an error when I was working through this, but I don't know. Okay, I'll look into it more.